This audiobook is based on our book about a key philosophical principle in medicine, without which a true understanding of human health is impossible. We extend the previously formulated principle of disease optimality to human health and human life, not only at the individual, but also at the societal level. In this chapter, we are talking about consciousness and the regulation of life, health, and disease. Consciousness represents the highest level of psychic organization, where the human being acquires a unique capacity, not merely to react automatically to stimuli, but to choose the path of their own development. It integrates bodily signals, memory, emotions, and social context, enabling the formation of an action trajectory that transcends simple instincts or habits. Within the genotype-phenotype environment corridor, consciousness becomes the key instrument for choosing life strategies. It may be directed toward maintaining movement near the center of the survival corridor, where health and systemic reserves are sufficient for stable functioning. Yet a person can also consciously choose trajectories that imply a higher adaptive cost for the sake of higher meanings 97 creativity, sacrifice, or service to others. This constitutes a uniquely human dimension of WellSpan, in which the existential significance of choice may outweigh purely biological optimality, at times even contradicting the immediate interests of the physical body. In a state of relative health, consciousness functions as a voluntary regulator of behavior and an architect of lifestyle. A high level of awareness of one's own state directly correlates with health quality. Attention to internal signals and self-observation allow a person to choose more adequate patterns of nutrition, physical activity, and timely prevention. Self-control is a critical factor in maintaining health span, as it underpins the ability to postpone immediate rewards in favor of long-term well-being. The capacity to govern attention and impulses, cultivated through practices of mindfulness, reduces the number of automatic destructive reactions and supports healthy patterns with minimal internal resource loss. In this way, consciousness becomes an active instrument for influencing the adaptive cost of life, enabling effective allocation of internal reserves and timely course correction within the survival corridor. When the organism enters a mode of disease, consciousness can assume fundamentally different roles depending on the style of psychic regulation. In line with the principle of non-contradiction, health and disease are not antipodes, but two inseparable aspects of a single life process, with health functioning as a resource measure that makes healing possible. Consciousness becomes a powerful ally of biology when it recognizes that disease has its own dynamic norms, which cannot and should not be compared directly with the static norms of health. Genuine conscious regulation consists in accepting these norms, thereby allowing the system to find a path of minimal adaptive cost. Yet consciousness may also become a source of disturbance when it falls into catastrophizing denial, or a misguided drive to normalize indicators at any price. This elevates stress levels and undermines adaptive resources, fixing the system in an exhausting, efficiency configuration of biological debt. Psychosomatic correlates. Hypertension, inflammatory processes, and similar phenomena often result from regulatory styles. Unexpressed emotions, chronic tension, that do not allow the organism to exit the disease mode. Conscious appraisal of symptoms makes it possible to see not merely complaints, but the path along which the disease is moving, and how it changes under treatment. This, in turn, allows assessment of whether true optimization of function is occurring, or whether we are merely suppressing signals mechanically while losing control over the genuine course of recovery. Negative experience, such as illness or loss, is a source of real suffering, yet consciousness offers a unique possibility to transform this experience into a platform for systemic reconfiguration and learning. The boundary between adaptation and destruction lies where consciousness still retains the capacity to make sense of the event, seek new strategies, and integrate the experience into a coherent life story. Traumatic growth is possible only when the system uses crisis as a signal to revise priorities and coping strategies. This does not mean justifying suffering, for excessive pain without support destroys the system. Nonetheless, a person has the right consciously to accept an increased adaptive cost for the sake of values deemed higher than biological economy. This is the essence of genuine WellSpan: the capacity to preserve coherence, meaning, and the will to create even during periods of degradation of the biological substrate. The task of medicine and psychotherapy is to support this conscious choice, helping the individual to follow the selected trajectory with maximal respect for the limited resources of the body and the inexhaustible strength of the human spirit. We will be grateful for your likes and for sharing information about this audiobook with others.